Morning guys, it's FitoTube. I had a few minutes this morning and I figured I'd spend it by doing my AMA. So I think I got quite a few questions and hopefully I'll get the chance to answer all of them. I think I saw a few of them that were a little bit silly, but try to get through them all and answer them as best I can. So here we go. Okay, schools to ask, do you know how to twerk? No. It's a simple answer. Twerking seems like a concept that's been around for a while. I guess it just someone put a name to it recently. But either way, definitely not something that I know how to do. Or even if I did, I probably wouldn't do it very often, at least not in public. Deviant Stranger asks, will you twerk anyways? Well, I guess I answered that question already by saying even if I did, I probably wouldn't do it very often. Okay. JBZ asks, can you provide video proof? If not, can you provide video proof of your unsuccessful attempts to twerk? How about this? Maybe if I see a whole bunch of you guys gifting a hero to random strangers throughout the day, then and we get a running counter for, let's say, 25 gifts, then we'll get a video of me twerking. I think that's a fair trade, right? So, okay, people getting excited about the twerking, lots of twerking and for twerking. Okay, all right. Grouchy Bastard asks, after the site was up and growing, how long did it take you to realize you'd done something huge? And what was that feeling like? That's a good question. You know, I think that early on we knew that we were doing something important, even when we had no users. And that was just coming from the fact that Dick and I started Fitocracy with this mission in mind, right? This vision of the world of helping everyone improve their fitness, even if they don't think that they can at the time of which they come to Fitocracy. But I think it really hit me when we got that article published on CNN in the fall of 2011. I remember that I was in Mountain View at the time. The small team that we were at the time was in Mountain View for the 500 Startup Accelerator. I think I was waking up on my air mattress in my small apartment in Mountain View at the time, and I had, I think I got an email from my lawyer who's like, you know you're on CNN right now, right? And then I went to CNN and I saw that on the front page, there was this section at the top that featured the story about Fitocracy and how we were turning fitness into an RPG, and it featured the Perry and his weight loss story, his transformation story. It was really, I think, seeing that was a really big moment because it wasn't just about the company, but it was also about our community, and it was about our users doing incredible things just by being supportive and motivating to one another. And you know, it felt amazing. I think that we were still very small at the time, and I still consider us quite small, to be honest. But it felt like we were part of something that was greater than ourselves, and that's something that still drives me every day right now, and I hope that continues 5-10 years from now. So, you know, it's a good feeling knowing that you're building something significant. Okay. This is actually kind of relevant. The next question, Al Macy asks, what is the 5-year plan for Fitocracy? That's a good question. I would say it really comes at nothing short of world domination. And by that I mean we want Fitocracy to be known as the app, the platform, the network, whatever you want to call it, the place to go for anyone who wants to improve their health and fitness. I know that kind of seems a little abstract. I'll get into more detail. But what I mean by that is, you know, oftentimes, people will encounter a moment in their lives when they realize, okay, I need to take better care of myself. Whether that's you sustained an injury, whether you had an appointment with a doctor that had pretty negative results. Maybe you just had a child. Maybe you have worked really hard for 20 years and you wake up one morning and realize, wow, I'm really overweight or I'm out of shape. Anything like that. There comes a point where someone decides, okay, I want to make a change. And they start seeking solutions, they start asking their friends what they do, And you hear about recommendations that get tossed around a lot. Oh, you should try this great workout DVD, or you should talk to my personal trainer, or you should try this program that I'm doing. For me and for us, I want to see in those conversations people saying you should really get on Fitocracy. It's going to change your life. You're going to get the knowledge and the support and the motivation that you need to really reach any goal that you have in mind. Because we know that there are so many other people who have been in your shoes, who have done the same thing, and are there to help you along the way. In more specific terms, I guess with the 5-year plan, it really comes down to growth. So expanding the user base and reaching more people, reaching demographics that currently aren't being touched by Fitocracy. And when it comes to functionality and features, we're really interested in the idea of providing more instruction and coaching to users. One of the things that we see with many folks, especially the newer folks, is that they don't know what to do when they're first starting out. There's this whole world of information that can be very intimidating and very frightening for people. And so we want to be able to connect those folks with the right people or the right content or the right coaching to help them start off on the right foot and get that plan that they need to follow through and execute on and really get that positive feedback loop going, getting those results going, and so on. So I think the big theme for us over the next few years is going to be being that platform that provides that coaching and that guidance for users in a variety of ways. Okay. Monster to be. And will you twerk while answering the above 2 excellent questions? Pass. Okay. Kahunga asks, who is your daddy and what does he do? Nice Arnold reference. To be perfectly serious, my father passed away when I was 16, but when he was still alive, he was an electrical engineer, and at the time he was a manager at the New York Power Authority. And probably one of the smartest guys I ever knew. Just breezed through his PhD program, not a problem. I'll pick up some of the stuff that he wrote, his dissertations back in the day. I'll read it and I'll be like, well, I just feel a lot dumber now. So, okay, if you weren't here with Fitocracy, what other career path could you see yourself following? That's a good question. I don't think I'd be able to answer this maybe 3 or 4 years ago. But answering it now, I would say if I wasn't doing Fitocracy, I would continue to be in entrepreneurship in some capacity, whether that's on the investment side. I think that's an interesting area when it comes to venture capital. I think that's an area I would like to explore at some point in my life. Maybe not now, maybe 10 years from now, who knows. But probably more likely would just be startups, again, whether that's being a part of an early stage team on the executive level would be really interesting, or starting another company and working on something else. Just starting on the ground floor, starting from scratch, recruiting the right people, building the product, getting users, etc. I can firmly say that I've been bitten by the bug, and I couldn't imagine myself doing anything else in any other industry. Okay, what is your favorite joke? That's a good question. It probably is inappropriate. I don't know. There's a lot of dead baby jokes that I'm a fan of, and also a lot of racist jokes that I like to pass around with friends. But I probably won't share them on video because they're incredibly inappropriate. So moving on, are you or were you ever in any team sports, martial arts, etc.? In fact, I was, surprisingly, because I'm really not into that stuff these days, and I never was the type. So you could really say it was kind of an experimentation. So when I was younger, probably somewhere between the ages of 8 to 10 or so, I was regularly going to Chinese school. So my mom would bring me to Chinese school every Sunday. And after Chinese school, there was this after-school martial arts program. So my twin brother and I would go and do Taekwondo lessons every Sunday. And we didn't really get very far. I think I got as far as a yellow belt or something, which is like the second level up from white belt. So we weren't very good. We had no idea what we were doing, and I think we quit fairly early on. And kind of a similar story with team sports. So my brother and I went and joined a local baseball team with the kids in 6th grade, I guess, when we were that age, and we had no idea what we were doing. It was embarrassing just thinking back on how bad we were, and everyone else, they cringed when they saw us on the field playing, and no surprise there, we didn't go back a second year. So you could say that team sports were never my thing, or my brother and our thing, and I probably don't see myself doing much of it ever in the future. I guess I consider my team sport, the whole startup team thing. Best Muppet duo. Sorry, Shofet asks. Best Muppet duo. Stetler and Waldorf, rather. Dr. Honeydew and Beaker, or Animal and Floyd. Definitely Dr. Honeydew and Beaker. Who can argue with the beep, 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 right? I mean, it's the greatest thing. And these days I like to kind of compare them to Jesse and Walt from Breaking Bad, so that's kind of fun. Okay, Kimmy Lynn asks, approximately how many notifications do you get a day? A lot. I'm looking at my counter right now, and this is from yesterday. I started at 0 at some point. I have 336 right now. And that's, because I post a workout. I get a lot of props in that. I'll post different status updates and photos and so on and so forth. So I'm very active on Fitocracy, so that's no surprise. And the other side of it is that with notifications, we definitely don't handle notifications on Fitocracy very well. Everyone understands and recognizes that. It's something we want to fix for sure. If we were to do notifications in a much saner way, I would get far fewer, at least a far saner way of managing them, let's say. Okay. Rawbase81 asks, XenoWang, what is best in life? You're going to slap me because I can't recite this answer from memory. So it's Conan the Barbarian, obviously, and I know it has to do with vanquishing your enemies and hearing the lamentations of your women. But for the sake of this video, I will get the quote because it is quite great. So Conan, what is best in life? I'm literally Googling this right now. So the quote goes, I'll try to do my best to do this. What is best? Okay, here we go. Conan, what is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of the women. There you go. Probably one of the best movie lines ever. I can't believe I couldn't remember that. Sorry. JBZ, what really grinds your gears? That's a good question. What really grinds your gears? Probably, in general, whenever I see people with a sense of entitlement, I'm very big on being self-aware and being grateful for what you have and recognizing it and not taking things for granted. And, when I see folks who will try to extract more value out of the rest of the world than they're putting back in, and they kind of walk around with an attitude that that's what they deserve, that's probably something that bothers me the most. And it's hard, I think that a lot of people struggle with that, and they don't necessarily have the self-awareness to recognize that they're doing that. And it ultimately comes down to maturity. And that's not necessarily a function of age. I know folks who are, 20 years old and don't exhibit that at all. And I know folks who are in their 30s who will go and have that attitude. So ultimately, I think it comes down to maturity and self-awareness. But yeah, that's definitely something that really bothers me. Okay. Kirsten says, Shenanigans, tell us about a time when you and your twin switched places. If you say you never did, I will be greatly disappointed. I can ask this in the form of a question if it is required. Well, okay. I hate to say this, I might have to disappoint you, Kirsten, but I don't really recall. I can't really recall a moment when we switched places and tried to mess with people. Well, I can think of maybe a moment in high school when we may have done that, but nothing really springs to mind. The only time that I can think of was for Halloween last year. I was feeling really lazy, and I was going to a Halloween party that my brother had invited me to, and it was a bunch of his friends from college. and most of them had never ever met me. And I was feeling really lazy. My brother dressed up as Bane from Batman. And I was like, well, I have a plain white T-shirt here that I never use, and I have a marker. So I basically wrote on it and said, "Hi, my name is Andrew," and went to the party with him. You know, he sees it and he just shakes his head. He's like, "You jackass!" And you know, there was actually a few times at the party where they're like, "Hey, Brian, what's going on?" Oh no, sorry. He said, "Hey, Andrew, what's going on, man? It's been a while." And then I'll be like, "I don't know you, bro," but I'll be like, "Hey, how's it going?" You know. So that has happened for sure. In fact, there have been moments where we didn't even have to trade places, and people have been like, "Hey, Andrew, how's it going?" And I'm like, "Do I know you?" And then like later, I find out that it's a friend of my brother's. Okay. Ape Wilder asks, when is the Fitocracy conference in Vegas going to be held? Will there be an obstacle course? That is a good question. You know, we would love to host and put together FitoCon someday. It's 2013 now. I don't know if it's ever in the cards for 2014, but we'll see. But we would certainly love to do it. Obstacle courses, definitely. Barbells and bumper plates for Olympic lifting, definitely. Sprints, you know, marathon runs, in the whole 9 yards. I'd love to have it all. You know, we've been able to meet a lot of Fitos in real life at meetups, and it's always an amazing time. And the chance to have an actual conference or an event where people would fly in from all across the country or the world to join and participate would just be mind-blowing to me. So I definitely want to make it happen someday. Okay, let's see, running towards the end. G. Cruson asks, who created the Fito Points algorithm? Yeah, it's a good question. That was built primarily by one of our first employees, Daniel Ressler, who was our earliest engineer and then went on to be CTO for a while with us. He's no longer at the company, but he built that back in, I want to say, 2011, 2012, and it introduced a level of sophistication to the algorithm that really blew us away at the time. I think that it works quite well. There's definitely flaws to it for sure, and at times it can be somewhat hard to maintain because there's a level of sophistication that makes things slower, and we're not sure, you know, when that will change. But yeah, to answer your question, it was Daniel. If he's still on the site, I'm not sure. His username is DFIG, so you have him to thank for that. So Heisha asks, when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up? So, also, this is a way better AMA than the Reddit one. It definitely is. I didn't know. I really had no idea what I wanted to be when I grew up. I think that I was defaulting to what my mom kind of wanted me to be, which, you know, as Asian parents are wont to do, she wanted me to be a doctor. It was oddly specific. She said you should be an optometrist. I don't know why. I think she figured, well, it was a stable job and high income. Okay. And so I think for a while I was telling people, like when teachers would ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? You know, rather than saying you want to be a, you know, firefighter or like an astronaut or something like that, I'll say I want to be an optometrist. And the teacher would be like, oh, that's nice. Like, the kid wants to be an optometrist. So I think that was just influenced by my mother. But I had no idea, honestly. Going into high school, going into college, I had no idea. In high school, I actually was interested in the idea of game programming, and I took a C++ course in high school thinking that I was going to enter the world of software development. And I actually had a really good time in the course, but unfortunately the teacher kind of turned me off from it, and I think it was more the teacher than the course, which is really a shame given that I'm working in the software world now. I think if things had been different, maybe I would have pursued that in college, but who knows. You know, when I was going into college, I thought, yeah, I'll double major in math and music, actually. I had no idea what I would do with those, but turns out I got my ass kicked in my first math course at college, which was my introduction to how college worked. And I decided to switch majors into economics. But yeah, throughout most of my college career, I had no idea what I wanted to do either. It wasn't until later when I decided entrepreneurship was something that truly, truly interested me. Okay, last couple questions. Shiba Inu Gal asks, favorite pizza toppings? That's a good question. I would say it's gotta be a toss-up between Hawaiian. So for those who don't know, that's ham and pineapple, delicious. And whenever menus have like the meat lovers option where they put on like ham and sausage and ground beef and all sorts of crazy stuff on there, just super high in fat and protein. Big fan of that as well. And final question, Monster to Be asks, what formula is used to calculate 1RMs from sets of 2 to 10 reps for Wilks-based duels? I honestly don't know. That was built initially by JC4P, our former Android lead, and that was something that he built just by himself. He was like, this needs to be on Fitocracy, and he put it in there, and he really cared about it, so I have faith and trust that it was a sensible formula. But I don't know the specifics to it. I'd have to go and ask because I don't spend much time at all looking at the technical details these days because the engineers will pretty much fight me if I do that. So yeah, that was it. This was fun. Thanks so much for all the question submissions. I hope that you guys enjoyed viewing this. And I'll definitely be doing more of these. I love the group. FitoTube is so awesome. I'm going to go and promote it a bit more today because it's just such a fun group of people, and I love the concept. So thank you to Mashal for that. I watched your video, by the way. It was great. And I'm watching all these videos. They're fantastic. So keep it up, and I'll definitely be hanging around more and doing more of these. Thanks.